Hey y'all, how are you? Welcome to another episode of Real Women Real Talk. I'm not going to tell y'all that my co-host is so chilling and relaxed on her break that she was just yawning. I'm not going to tell y'all that. I'm not going to say a word about it. Oh, it
Woo!
feels good. This is the day before Christmas. Merry Christmas Eve, everybody, if you're watching on Christmas Eve. I am Trenace Richardson. I am the founder of Real Women. And you are, Merry Christmas, sister. Who are you?
Merry Christmas, sister. I am a relaxed, vacationing Shavon Carter, one of the facilitators of Real Women.
Girl, if you was any more relaxed. I love it. I love it. I was texting you and you were like, whatever. I'm
You
good.
know what? I was laying on the couch just chilling, watching football, so I was good.
I love it for you. I really do. Y'all, welcome to this episode. It'll be different because, we different, but it is our Christmas week episode. And so we want to welcome you to our Real Women Real Talk podcast. This is where we give you a sneak peek into what it's like to be in a Real Women Sister Circle, and we're going to jump right in. If you'd like to know anything about us, we'll be talking more about who we are as we go through this. But please visit us at Real Women Real. Don't do that. Do it at realwomenrock.org. Visit us at realwomenrock.org and you can get more information about us. We would absolutely love for you to check us out. And so we're going to jump right in, sister. It is Christmas week when we are publishing this one. And, this is a wonderful time of year for a lot of people, but it's also not a great time of year for a lot of folks. And so I'll first ask, how are you in this season? Is it all good for you, or are there some mixed emotions about it?
Yeah, it's all good for me. I don't usually get sad or down during this time of year or during this season. I know with the weather changing and the time changing, it does make me a little gloomy. But the actual season in and of itself, or the holiday,
Hmm.
it's one of my favorites. Like, I like Christmas, so even though this year doesn't really feel like Christmas, so I haven't really felt it like. I haven't gone and looked at any lights or anything like that, but yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
good. I'm glad you're good.
Yeah.
I can say for me, I have gone through really, really excited about the holidays and feeling
Mhm.
like but I feel like for the wrong reasons though. I felt like I needed to be in the stores and I needed to get
Mm,
everybody a gift and,
mhm,
all of that excitement around it. I have been there before and
mhm.
that has waned for me every year. In my house, we do our best to um, minimize the commercial nature of
Yeah.
Christmas and really just focus on family time and
Mhm.
being thankful for what the season is supposed to be about, just
Yeah.
commemorating the birth of Jesus. So it's different for me now. I'll say we don't even have a tree up, and we have
Okay.
we kind of do a smaller and smaller one every year. Now we don't
Yeah.
have one up and we didn't do decorations outside, but
Mhm.
it feels really relaxed and peaceful. We're going to make sure we do family stuff together. We went to the movies the other night together,
Yeah.
so it's a different kind of. It doesn't have anything to do with the hubbub of what this season is, is
Mhm.
commercially about. But we're spending some family time together.
Nice. I love that. I was gonna
Mm,
ask you if you all decorated or anything. I
mm.
haven't, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I remember you've gone through some seasons where you put something up for 1 year, I think, and then
It was
it's
one time, that was it. It was a little Charlie Brown Christmas tree, that's all I had, and then after that, I was like, "I'm not gonna do all that."
right. It's like it comes up and to your point about um not feeling it or whatever, it just seems to come and go so fast. Like
Yeah.
it's Halloween, it's Thanksgiving, and then it's Christmas, and then it's New Year's.
Right,
Like
exactly.
you blink and it's
Yeah,
there. So
and this year felt really fast, so I don't know, I just didn't feel like Christmas this time for some reason.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, so some of you all may have some similar sentiments. Maybe you are really excited. I've talked to some people this week from work and in sister circles and really excited and got all the decorations and just really wonderful for you. Whatever works for you in this season, maybe perhaps it's not an easy season for you. We really want you to tap in. Ask yourself, how are you doing and what do you need in this Christmas season? I really think, and it's not just Christmas season, it's Hanukkah, it's Kwanzaa. There's a whole
Mhm.
lot going on during this season. So happy holidays.
Yes.
And whatever you need to do during this time to be whole and feel at peace, do that. Please do that.
Mhm.
So I do want to couple our real talk with something. I'm going to acknowledge that when we get around family, this is usually a time of year where we are around some family. And, it can be drama, it can be stuff going on, end up having some things happening around with family. And it's not always happy go lucky feelings. And so, my second real talk question for you, sister, is what when you are triggered, when you are hurt or angry, um, what is your reaction to that? How do you typically react to hurt or anger?
Huh. I probably shut down
Okay.
when I feel hurt or anger. So if someone has done something to me, sometimes they won't even know it
Mm,
because I'll just go inward and won't say anything. And I emotionally distance myself from the person. So there'll probably be limited to no conversation from me when that happens. And yeah, so I just kind of sometimes I hold on to it and just be like, I'm being petty, I'm holding a grudge, like I'm hurting them. But yeah, that's honestly how I usually respond to it.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Um, I when I asked you this question and then gave the preface that I did, I thought about how it's typically only family or people close to me who could bring me to the point of hurt or anger.
Hmm.
It's not even just Joe Schmo or something random that I would normally let get to me anyway. Or,
Hmm.
I mean, even if it gets to me, like I don't have a whole lot of external feedback like that. But
Hmm.
yeah, for the little that I do, I think my relationships are set up so that my feelings are shared if they are shared with those who are closest with me.
Hmm.
So for me, hurt or anger, ooh, shut down. You hear me? The wall is up. And
Hmm.
I agree with you that they may or may not know that the wall is up.
Hmm.
For example, if me and my husband are beefing, he's gonna feel the silent treatment, right? From me, because we're right here in the same vicinity. But like you said, if it's somebody else, they may not know it because I'm not in their space often.
Hmm.
So I want to dig a little deeper with that one because it is prepping us for a little bit of deep dive. And
Hmm.
I use the words hurt and anger. And
Hmm.
I'm wondering from you, do those emotions solicit the same reaction from you? Do you feel like they're the same, or are they different emotions, hurt and anger?
They're definitely different for
Mhm.
me. I don't get angry that often.
Okay.
Usually it's hurt. So if I'm angry, that means someone had to really push me to that
Mm,
point. I remember one time I did get angry with someone that I was dating,
mhm,
and my response, like, I cursed them out, and I never do anything like that. So for
mm,
me to get to that point, I was like, yeah, no, this person, I cannot be
mm,
involved with this person. And I cut them off, and it's been years since I've talked to them. Because
mm,
that was my last my last communication, because I don't get like that. So for someone to get me that angry, I was like, yeah, no.
Mhm.
So it's definitely two different emotions for me.
Understood. I agree. I think hurt. Um, I feel insulted. Maybe I feel you have attacked me and I didn't expect it to come from you.
Hmm.
You hit me in a very sensitive place,
Yeah.
could be
Hmm.
any of the above. Anger is my getting back now, my emotions coming back at maybe the byproduct of me being hurt now is
Hmm.
anger.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I probably I'll say I don't experience either one of them very often anymore
Hmm.
because I have created and cultivated a circle
Hmm.
that allows me to talk and communicate and express myself and be vulnerable and all those things in a safe space.
Yeah.
But, it happens. Of course,
Mhm.
it happens. And when it does, I think I am, like I said, I think I'm hurt first. Even
Mhm.
those that I'm angry at, it starts with hurt for me, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and then it's how I'm angry, definitely a raised voice. Um, and then the shutdown. So I'm either
Mhm.
or I'm just
Yep.
shut down.
Mhm.
And I ask that, of course, we always want to know how you all are doing. So please reach out to us. This might be a wonderful time of year for you. It might be a difficult one. Whatever it is, we always have some feel good topics in here, but we also gonna dive deep into some.
Yes.
And so we want to know how you are really doing as it relates to not only this holiday season, but also just your emotions, how you manage hurt or anger? Do you tend to feel them? How similar or different do you feel like they are? We would love to hear from you related to those. And you can go to speakpipe.com/real women, real talk. If you'd like to leave us a message, we would love to hear your voice. Or you can email us at info@realwomenrock.org. And we would absolutely love to hear how you are handling hurt and anger. And I ask that, sister, because our deep dive is just going to go a little bit deeper into our response or reaction to those kinds of heavy emotions. Like I said, we might be experiencing something during this time of year, but no matter what the time of year is, how we respond to things and how even offended we are by what we experience is something to be explored, I think.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so my topic is it even possible to be unbothered?
Mm.
And I ask this because I have a couple of things going on in my head about this topic. When you think of people saying I am unbothered or
Mhm.
or I cannot be offended, I am unoffendable, all of those things. So I have heard that, right? um, I have heard those sentiments, or to strive to be unbothered. But I also think about the fact that on some level it feels unrealistic to think that you're not going to be bothered or offended or triggered in some way. And so I want to ask you, how easily offended do you think you are?
um, it's funny that you mentioned the people saying that they are unbothered. I don't believe that. Especially as a counselor in training, I don't know that. I don't think that's possible, honestly. As human beings, I think we have a range of emotions. So I just wanted to say that, because it's like, how can you not be bothered, and why wouldn't you? Why do we make it negative that we're bothered? So that's something that came to mind. But how easily am I bothered? I feel like I have grown in that area. So I noticed that I'm not as bothered as I used to be.
Mhm.
And I don't feel as sensitive, let me say that, as I used to be to what people say. Like it doesn't hit like it, because I am an empath. Like I really notice that I am, but it doesn't um, hit me when people say certain things the way that it used to. Now, do certain things bother me? Yes. But I think I'm at a space where I just kind of, I can separate. Like when someone says something, I don't personalize it as much as I used to. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So evolving, you've evolved to a
Yeah, I
point
feel
of.
like there's an evolution. Yeah,
Mhm.
in that for me.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask this of you in a second because I'm going to answer that question and also answer another one for myself because I'm thinking about how easily offended I am, and it is very seldom am I offended about certain things.
Hmm.
And then I know I can be easily, quickly offended by certain topics, right? So if if my motherhood is questioned, the quality of being a mother on any
Hmm.
level, if I feel like I am being judged as it relates to how well my son is doing, or you know um, how well or how lack of discipline, anything like that. If you come at me as a mama, ooh, it's on, right? Um,
Yes.
and so I'm admitting that vulnerability about my you judging me as a mother, but also if you come at my children, I get to fuss at them and talk about
Yeah.
them, but you keep my children's name out your
Your
mouth,
mouth.
right? So
Yeah.
so it's that kind of thing. I know that's one area where I am easily offended. And I
Mhm.
don't you are probably if I'm even having this conversation with you, you are probably trying to help me, but you got to come at it a certain
A
way
certain way,
or
yeah.
not at all because I'm
Mhm.
going to take, offense to it. And I'm sure there's some growth that needs to happen there. But
Mhm.
there are many other areas that I can, let it roll off,
Mhm.
and not easily be offended. So that's
Mhm.
one that comes to mind. Is there anything that you can think of kind of right off the bat where a topic, a scenario, some words somebody says? I know if some people get called B, they are ready to go. Like I mean, just it, and some people call a woman a B and it's
Mhm.
seen as complimentary. Go ahead, B, all of that.
Right, right.
But if you say it a certain way, some women will go from 0 to 60 right away. Is there
Mhm.
anything that offends you that quickly or hurts you the most?
I think it's some when I feel insecure about something, like for
Mhm,
example, I've talked about a lot with me being in this new space of being a counselor. I
mhm,
remember someone said something to me. I think I was watching a show with someone and they were like, "Oh, I thought you were supposed to be a counselor, or you were supposed to know that," or something like that. And
mhm,
that ticked me off. Like I was really irritated and offended by that. Cause don't throw this stuff back up in my face. I'm just learning this. Don't do that. So it's that kind of stuff. If I'm already feeling uneasy or I have some insecurities about it, or I'm doubting myself, then I could be offended if someone says
yeah,
something. Yeah. Cause it's like
yeah.
connecting with my critical voice. So it's that.
Mhm. Oh,
Mm,
that's so good.
yeah.
Okay, so you already going there. So let's do it. Let's do it. We taking a deep dive because I love that you said that because it definitely speaks to me. And why I know I'll keep using the same vulnerable example. I
Hmm.
know why why I'm easily triggered or offended if you judge me as a mother or if you talk about my kids because I have my own doubts as it relates to the quality of my,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so but I don't need you to add to my thoughts about me.
Exactly. Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm doing that over here already.
Already.
So where you going?
Exactly.
Why
Yeah.
you here? Why you over here with me doing this to me? Um, So it is so true. And what I found was, and I'm just going to ask for your thoughts on these because I did find a list, and forgive me, I'm not going to be able to attribute exactly where I found the list, but Dr. Google gave me a list when it came to being aware of how to manage or how to deal with being bothered or offended.
Mm,
And so the first one is self-awareness. And so all of what we do in Real Women is um, around or related to getting to know ourselves better. And when we do that, it really helps us understand this triggers me, this bothers me, like we were just able to do for each other and with each other. And you'd be surprised how many people say, you ask them what triggers you, or what, I don't know, I don't know exactly, I just know it just happens. And
mhm,
so the first thought was self-awareness, that in order to deal with being easily offended, you got to know yourself and know your worth. And so to be able to speak to myself more positively and believe more positively about, I'll keep using the example, my motherhood, for example, and know that not only am I doing the best that I can, but I've got, you know, I've got good kids and they are staying out of big trouble and they are, all of that stuff. To
mhm,
be able to be aware of that and know that that I not only am I doing the best that I can, but I'm doing far better than I'm giving myself credit for.
mhm,
Knowing my worth. It says a quote. There's a quote that says, "When you know your worth, you really don't need anyone else to validate it." So
mhm.
I won't be offended by you critiquing me if I am sure of and certain of how I'm feeling. Any
Mm.
thoughts about self-awareness or knowing your worth? Do you agree, disagree?
I definitely agree with self-awareness, because that helps to understand self. When we are aware of what's going on within us, it means we're kind of paying attention to where we are, what bothers us, that kind of stuff. I'm wrestling with the other one, knowing your worth. And if you know your worth, you wouldn't need validation from others. It sounds simple, right?
Mhm,
But I don't know, because I think about just human beings and us having emotional needs. And
mhm,
some of us have the need for acceptance and validation. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think
mhm,
it is important to know our worth and to validate ourselves. And so
mhm,
we can know our worth and appreciate and desire validation from other people. I think when it's to our detriment, like if we are needing it and not giving it to ourselves, that's when it becomes unhealthy. But I don't know that I agree with, oh, you know your worth, you won't need it from other people. I get
mm,
the
mhm.
intention, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. The example you just made me think about was so I know I'm really, really good at my job. I
Hmm.
do an amazing job at my job.
Yeah.
When I'm giving B level work, it looks like A level work, right?
Hmm.
So I know I'm very clear about that.
Hmm.
And still, I appreciate being appreciated. And I don't
Right.
even need it. I
Hmm.
don't need it to do a good job.
Right.
And I'm self-motivated, so I'm going to work anyway.
Hmm.
Um, whether I was as an entrepreneur, because I sit in that seat too, the result of my work is going to show itself,
Hmm.
whether you say I did a good job or not. And at my job, I'm getting a paycheck whether or not you say I could do a good job or
Right.
not, right?
Hmm.
So I don't have to have your validation, but it
Hmm.
feels really good to be appreciated and recognized for my work. So
Hmm.
now that you said it that way, I totally agree with what you just said.
Because that just makes me think about the love languages. Some of us like words of affirmation, and it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that there's a deficit. So for some, it is, but just because that's my love language doesn't mean that there's something wrong and I don't know my worth. I just like extra words along with my
So
words. So
good.
yeah.
So good. So
Yeah.
good. So another one that was mentioned as it relates to how we could possibly manage offense and not feel as bothered is to set boundaries and
Mm,
protect our energy so
mhm,
that when we are feeling depleted is probably when we could possibly be the most sensitive or
mhm,
the most vulnerable. And so protecting our boundaries so that we take care of ourselves first. We often use the analogy you can't pour from an empty cup. And
mhm,
so giving ourselves nurture and nourishment first so that and whatever that looks like, whether that looks like taking a break from the kids or taking some leave that you need to take off, because you've earned the leave, so take the leave. Whatever that looks like, protect your energy so that you're coming to the table not as depleted and possibly leaving yourself open to feeling more offended because of that. What are your thoughts?
mhm. I definitely agree with that. I think when we're tired, when we're stressed, we are more vulnerable, I think, to offense because we're just tired. We have a short fuse anyway in those situations. We don't have the capacity to take on much more. So I can see how we can be easily offended. Definitely for me, I know I can be triggered and easily offended during those times. So boundaries are important. And for me, boundaries are a work in progress because that was definitely one of my issue areas when I first started therapy. So that's been a constant ongoing conversation that can show up in different ways. Like we used to work on boundaries in my relationships and setting those, but then it can look like just emotional boundaries, not taking on too much, and not allowing so much energy into my space. So that has been evolving for me over time as well.
Mhm, mhm. That's good to me. Okay, so this one is a little different because I'm trying to figure out what I feel about this one. This
Mhm.
one, the thought is to cultivate empathy and understand different perspectives. So the
Hmm.
idea is if I am offended by something you said or
Mhm.
you did, to give myself a beat to think about what might you be thinking, where might you be coming from, what might you be going through that even caused you to come
Mhm.
at me that way.
Yeah.
And being able to think about where you are right now and your perspective might cause me less offense. It might allow me to see a little more grace for you before I am as triggered as I would be if I hadn't done that. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts?
I can see how that would be a good tool. I just think in the moment it's so
Mhm,
automatic to be triggered or to get offended. So I think that would be after the fact for me. It would be after the fact that I would think about that, and that may lessen the time that I feel offended. But in the
mhm.
moment, I'm offended right now, and so
Well, let me tell you what that made me think about, though. It made me think about ongoing, like we talked about Christmas time and family, right?
yeah,
So it made me think about ongoing, longer term relationships.
yeah,
Maybe those that we don't necessarily choose. I
hmm,
tend to believe we get to choose the level of our relationships, no matter who they are. But
for sure.
uh, but let's just say, for example, a father or a mother relationship that is strained,
Hmm.
um, and you over time precedent history has said that you could possibly be offended by this person.
Hmm.
So almost I'll speak for myself. What I have learned to do is to think about what might my father have gone through that would cause him to be who he is, or who he was at the times that I felt triggered or offended or hurt.
Hmm.
And that has made every other interaction future since I had those thoughts. It
Hmm.
has made all of those easier for me because
Hmm.
I have cushioned my complete total view of him in this package of grace. It doesn't mean that everything after that didn't hurt. Like you said,
Mhm.
you're in the moment, but
Yeah.
it has lessened the impact of everything because I have put in my head, I know some of the things that he's been through that might have caused things to play out the way that they did in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you made me think about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a complicated one.
Mhm.
Using that example, that's a complicated one for me because it's like logically I do that, like and but emotionally there's still a disconnect there. So it's like yeah. So yeah, I can do that in my head, but my
Yeah.
heart still it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's complicated.
And
Mhm.
here's the thing, right? Because this leads to my last one about this. Um, Being able to acknowledge exactly how we are feeling, no matter
Yeah.
what, is really important. What we
Mhm.
do with those feelings is up to us, and it
Mhm.
probably is informed by how much we have grown and how much we have learned and all of how much we've matured. How we deal with how we are feeling is
Mhm.
different than acknowledging how we really feel. Right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's okay for me to be able, this is kind of what I think I heard you saying. It's okay in the moment for me to fully feel and acknowledge that I am hurt or
Mhm.
that I am angry or I am offended.
Mhm.
Now, how do I manage that? Or,
Mhm.
what tools are in my tool bag that cause that would dictate what I immediately do and say,
Mhm.
and also what I do and say in the longer term.
Yeah.
And for me, this one goes to the last thing that I read, which was living authentically. Because
Mm.
if I am living from a place of truth,
Mhm.
then I am able to speak to a whole lot related to that. So I'm able to say when I'm offended, I'm able to
Mhm.
admit to myself and to others when I am hurt.
Mhm.
And by getting it out of me, rather than trying to act like I'm not hurt or trying to
Mhm.
shield my offense, then that allows me to get to a place of peace quicker.
Mm.
Um, and let if I am going to be letting anything go, I can probably let it go quicker if I'm processing things in a very real and authentic way.
Mhm.
So, any thoughts about that one?
Yeah, that one is still a challenge for me too, because of my tendency to avoid conflict. So,
Mm,
being
mhm,
honest with myself, I can do that, but being honest with myself and communicating that to someone else, then that's where it becomes a challenge for me.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Which is
Mhm.
why I think you said, and I said it as well. It's a part of
Mhm.
it because I'm either going to confront or I'm going to shut down. But I
Yeah.
think it's what you said. Like that's why I'll shut down, and the person won't even know it. Is what I heard you say. Yeah.
And I also think it depends on how much I value the relationship also. Like
Mhm,
my close sisters, I wouldn't want it to fester like that because I want us to stay connected. Or if I'm in
mhm,
a relationship, like I would want to say something. But I think
mhm.
outside of that, if I don't value the relationship honestly and desire for them to be in my life and to desire for us to have a close connection, then I probably won't say anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can, as soon as you said that, stuff has come to mind where I was like,
Mhm.
the relationships that I really value, I've had to have really hard conversations, but it was
Mhm.
because I valued the
Yeah.
relationship that allowed me to have those conversations.
Mhm.
And then some I just thought, I'm hurt, but it's not worth it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah. So there is a distinction when I think about it. I wouldn't want to be that way with my inner circle. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is I think just exploring both, whether or not we feel like we are easily offended, the fact
Mhm.
that giving ourselves space and permission to feel our feelings, all of what they are,
Mhm.
and then exploring how we respond to that offense. I think there's a whole lot of work there that
Mhm.
can be done, that is being done. And I appreciate being able to have the conversation with you. I'll ask you in a second if there's anything else that you would want to say to close this loop, but we just want to invite you. I'm thinking about all who might be listening. And if you know someone who is, really easily triggered, hopefully this conversation gives you some insight into, what that might look like or feel like inside of them. Maybe they're
Mm.
trying to get it out of them so that it doesn't sit, and fester. And maybe you're that person, or maybe you really hold things in and you are not being honest with yourself nor other people about how you're feeling, and you have that notion that I'm supposed to be unbothered and I'm supposed to be unoffendable. But please, I hope that this conversation has given you permission to be authentically who you are and feel your feelings.
Mhm.
That would be my hope for you. Any thoughts from you, Shavon?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the self-awareness piece. Like if there is a pattern, if we see a pattern of things that we're easily offended by, to do some introspection and just to figure out like what is going on, with me? Why am I so offended by that? Like what's
Mhm.
happening? And just be mindful of our reactions or responses to those offenses. Like if we notice that we're just easily angered and just always going off on people, then that might be an area of exploration that we would want to deal with, because that's not only hurting ourselves, but it's hurting other people. So if we're
Mhm.
easily offended to the point where we're hurting people, then I think that's a sign to pause and do some introspection. Yeah.
That's really good. Really good. Hopefully this has helped you all. It may not have been the Christmas Eve episode that you expected, but really just wanted to delve in. This is an anytime episode, really honestly, no matter the week or the month, because the reality is we all hurt and we all get upset about something.
Mhm.
Someone or something has the ability to do that to us. And if we feel like we are unoffendable or we are unbothered completely 100%, please utilize speakpipe.com to reach out to
Right.
us,
We
because
want to hear about that.
we want to hear more about
Yeah.
that. Tell us more.
Yeah.
we're not even gonna judge. We just want you to tell us
Mhm.
more.
We
Um,
listen and we don't judge.
we listen and we don't judge. So we really do want to hear your thoughts on this deep dive topic, no matter what they are. Reach out to us at speakpipe.com/real women, real talk. And if you are looking for a place to really feel your feelings, let me tell you, Real Women is the place for you to do that. And we would absolutely love for you to visit one of our sister circles coming in the new year. We've got virtual and in-person sister circles. You would go to realwomenrock.org and check us out there. We would love to have you attend a circle. Well, thank you, sister. That was
That's
great.
good. Yeah.
I really appreciated that chit chat.
Mhm.
So we're going to just ease on out of the water and come up to putting ourselves in her shoes, where we discuss a current event or pose a scenario or ask a question that would give us the opportunity to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, for the sake of empathy and good conversation. So I had some choices, but I think I'm just going to go for the gusto, because this
Okay.
month Jamie Foxx released his
Mhm.
special,
Yes.
and his special is what had happened was,
Mhm. Yes.
and he explained the whole scenario as it related to him getting sick and what exactly happened. Turns out he had a stroke as a result of some bleeding, I think, in the brain
Mhm.
aneurysm, and so um, lots of conversation about it going around. I will be the first to say, instead of asking you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the laughter, the tears. I can say I didn't cry. As much of a crybaby as I am, I didn't
Mhm.
cry, but I really enjoyed how meaningful it was and the connection with his daughter. So I'll
Mhm.
first ask you, before I pose my question, what did
Okay.
you think about the show itself?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. It was great seeing him in his element again. It seemed like entertaining type show, and in addition to him sharing his testimony. So I love to hear him singing and the impersonations and the beautiful moment with his daughter. That one almost got me. Now I didn't cry, but I was almost, on the verge, because it was such a sentimental moment
Oh
with
my
his
goodness.
youngest daughter. And just to see her playing, it's like I could envision the moment that he was referring to. So I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. It was beautiful. If you all haven't seen it, highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
So, related to putting ourselves in someone else's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
he specifically mentioned his perspective on his illness and
Mm-hmm.
the fact that his words were he believed God blessed him with a stroke.
Mm.
And he gave, a lot of qualifiers. I'm Jamie, Emma, F, and Fox, and so, I
Yeah.
think I think from his perspective, he felt like there was some humbling that had to happen, and
Mm.
that is happening as a result. That's where
Mhm.
I think he was coming from.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering what you think about illness in your life. Not speaking anything on you, but
Mhm.
in general,
Mhm.
um, whether it's a headache or a cold or anything else, illness in your life, how would you position that in your head, putting yourself in someone else's shoes like
Oh man. So I did recently have a situation where it was a health scare, and just thinking about that, I can understand the desire to just want to understand, like,
that?
and want to try to find meaning in the midst of it. I think just our human minds, we're just trying to, what is happening? Like, was it something I did? Is it because I was being too prideful? Like, where is this coming from? So I can understand the questioning and just wanting to find some answers, because it just seems like, oh, as human beings, it happens to any and all of us, really. But just, when you think about something so severe, it just makes you wonder, well, why? So I can understand why he would go there, because I'm sure I would have asked the same questions of
Mm-hmm.
myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thank you for that. And I can so relate to his mindset because
Mhm.
um I I don't know whether it was explicit teaching, but I
Mhm.
know after I put all of the teaching together that I was taught in church growing up,
Yeah.
I felt like if anything bad happened to me, it was
Mhm.
because I did something bad.
Right. Right.
And
Yep.
if anything good happened to me, it was because God
Mhm.
was pleased with me and
Yeah.
was patting me on the back, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
So I totally understand the thought process that
Mhm.
this has happened to me and it's related to something that I've said or done or some position I put myself in.
Mhm.
And God, you had to show me, you had to humble me, you had to shift me and pivot me, and this is how you chose to do it, God.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I've been there and still there sometimes. So I
Mhm.
get it, totally, totally get it.
Yeah.
So putting myself in his shoes, I get it.
Mhm.
Where I am doing my best to pivot in my life
Mhm.
is to understand that the God of my understanding, my current understanding, would not. Uh, I don't even want to use the word bless. There's got to
Mhm.
be some would not inflict
Yeah.
me with would not inflict me or impose upon me something as negative as that. And it's not
Mhm.
to say that bad things don't happen to good people, that kind of
Mhm.
thing, but I just don't think God is around doing this and this
Yeah.
and and
Right.
pointing, give that to her and give that to him and give that.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
don't feel that that is the God of my understanding today,
Mhm.
and that's a big evolution from where I've been.
Yeah.
and so it still takes some rewiring in my
Mhm.
brain and in my heart when things are happening.
Mhm.
But I choose to see God in a different light. And it doesn't mean things don't happen, but I think things happen. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah.
It could be related to a ton of things. My health, it could be environmental, it could be genetic, like a whole host of things could be the reason. But
Mhm.
and I can still get some spiritual insight and understanding from my circumstances and live
Mhm.
a different way as a result, but
Yeah.
not necessarily put it on God did it to me.
Did it to me. Yeah.
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 So yeah.
I think the piece also where I was struggling was with, oh, I wasn't going to church, and that was also like a part, all of the theology associated
Mhm.
with when you don't do those things that we've been taught to do, then you're going to be punished in some way. So I
Yeah.
think that's where the disconnect was for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's definitely a disconnect for me
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Yeah. So it helped me to put myself in those shoes because it allowed me to offer a whole lot more grace.
Yeah.
And just really thankful for and prayerful for. And I think by the
Mm.
time this airs, he's also had like a nightclub incident where he was in a little bit of a brawl and got hit in the face. And
Oh, yeah, his birthday dinner, another
yeah,
table threw something and hit him in the mouth. He had to get stitches.
yeah. I heard it
Mhm,
was a little bit of back and forth conversation that happened.
mhm,
So just prayerful for him continually, but thankful
mhm,
that he's on the other side of such a life threatening incident.
mm,
But yeah, thank you for talking with me about that.
yeah, mhm,
Mhm. Well, thank y'all for listening, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts about how you would handle or what you think about that scenario, putting yourself in those shoes. Maybe you've been in those shoes. We would absolutely love to hear from you, and feel free to reach out to us at our email or at speakpipe.com/real women real talk.
yes,
And that brings us to our last segment. We are here. We've had a really good episode. And this is our spiritual nugget segment where we ask ourselves, what do we want to take away from this moment? If we were to leave a spiritual nugget just to inspire or encourage, give us some closing thoughts. Do you have any thoughts in mind, Shavon?
um, what's coming up for me is just lead with love, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I think when we think about just one, loving ourselves to desire to be at peace with ourselves about things, and then that translating into how we relate and connect with other people. Just let's just focus on leading with love.
Mhm, mhm.
I think
It's
that
so
will
much
help us.
easier that way.
Yeah. That will help us so much to not be offending each other and just all the stuff. Let's just be loving.
I am determined to drink water and mind my biz.
That's so
It's so much easier that
Yay.
way. It
It's
really
so
is.
much easier. Oh my god.
Mhm. Well, this has been I love that. I love that. Lead with love. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Y'all, we hope that you are, whether you are listening to this during the Christmas season, at the end of the year, at the top of the year, whenever you encounter this episode, we hope you are leading with love. We hope you are leaning into love, self
Mhm.
love, love of the folks around you. We hope that you are engaging in what brings you joy and peace, and we would invite you to connect with us because that's what we are all about. We are not really about anything else. If it's not positive vibes, we don't want it.
No, that's
And
right.
you, you can engage with us at realwomenrock.com. RWRT.org. And if you need any support making your way to those positive vibes, we can help you get there. We don't mind walking with you through the process of
Mhm.
self-discovery and experiencing and exploring your own peace and joy and freedom. We have sister circles. We have exciting things coming up in the new year. And in order for you to know about those, you have to connect with us. As soon as you go to the website, it will ask for your email address shortly after. Connect with us by giving us your email, and you will hear every month what's happening with us. We have a wonderful opportunity for you also to become an all access member. And an all access member allows you to not only get some little extra perks and connect with us on a more personal basis, but you get the opportunity to really invest in us starting these sister circles across the country and abroad. It's our goal to make sure that every woman has a safe space and a circle of sisters. And if you want to help us do that, check us out at realwomenrock.org and find out how you can become a part of what we're doing. And until the next episode, we appreciate y'all. Merry Christmas. Happy
Merry
New Year.
Christmas.
Bye bye.